Hey guys, welcome to the channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if Issei got Venom and massive harem? Before I start, please do support for more awesome content, and subscribe my channel and like this video. Go support and follow the xDoug-Dimmadome-x for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story, link in the description. Let's start this video. Going well, sir. All tests have been positive. The spiders have adapted well to the devil powers and have generated superior abilities to their human world counterparts, and when I say superior, I mean way superior. These spiders have developed venom that are absolutely lethal to our kind. It is amazing. They have extreme strength, speed, jumping powers, and they seem to have developed some sort of danger sense. I call it spider sense, the nerd said with a joke. The other man did not really care. Anyways, they also have webbing, except for one. The webbing itself is extremely strong, and some of the spiders have developed different characteristics. There is one with a fire-resistant web, and there is one that has an insane durability. It is to cut or tear apart. To cut just one tiny strand of this webbing, we had to actually take a chainsaw and power it up with our devil powers, and even then it took 5 minutes just to cut through one strand of the webbing. Amazing work, Doctor. I am going to take these spiders to my office now. I have some personal tests to run. Yes, of course, but I warn you. They are extremely dangerous. Please be careful. I will, Doctor. Do not worry, said the head devil. With that, the nerd devil left, letting the head devil take the spiders out of the cages and into separate containers. He went to his office on the top floor and sat down on his desk. The spiders were placed on his desk and he began to work on his computer, doing some research. Crash! The wall from the side of his office crashed down, and he was sent flying into the wall. He got up, but when he got out of the debris, the spiders were gone. Location: Museum of Natural Science, Tokyo, Japan. Date: April 1, 2014. Issei Hyoudou was a young man of 15 who enjoyed science things. He was an extremely smart cookie, who aced all his tests and never got anything below a 95. He always worked with his work, though this did come at a major cost. He was always picked on and bullied. He never had a girlfriend, he had no friends actually. He was a loser socially, but he was a brilliant mind. He also had a fascination for spiders. Issei was not a strong person. He was actually really thin and weak, so he was never able to defend for himself. However, he was a very nice man, but that never helped. No one ever wanted to talk to him unless they wanted him to help with their homework or something. He did have a girlfriend once, but all she did was go out with him once on a date as a dare by her friends. He was dropped like a rock the day after the date. From there on out, he developed a slight fear of women ever coming up to him and asking him out, and this fear was deeper than he thought. Issei was an orphan child at birth. However, when he was 5, he was adopted by a very rich couple looking for a tax break. A child. They never loved him, but no one cared. Issei grew up all alone. His only friend was the pet spider that the parents got him after weeks of begging. He cared for the spider, and once he got what he wanted, he never bothered the parents again. He was barely even noticed. Issei was walked around the city museum in his town of Tokyo. He went to an all-male public school in Tokyo, so he went to the museum twice a week. Today, there was a major thing going within the science center, so he wanted to see it. It had something to do with spiders, so he wanted to check it out. So it was about 5 p.m. when he went to see it. Issei began to walk around the many displays of the spider exhibit, which were centered all around a large microscope. He was the only one currently at the spider exhibit, since most people hate spiders. He was just looking around, and then he was approached by a nice-looking man. "I can see you are fascinated by the 8-legged wonders of the world," the man said with a smile. "Yes. I have always held a fascination for spiders. I have a Goliath bird eater at home. Big boy. Ah, beautiful creatures is what they are. Say, would you like to see the brand new spiders that were found in America?" "Wait, what new spiders?" "Ah, well, you would be the first to see it actually. These spiders were just discovered in New Jersey, in America. Come over here," the man said with a smile. He pointed towards a white see-through container. It had a total of 6 boxes. Issei walked over and began to look into them. There were 5 spiders that we originally found, and what we found was amazing. They had developed super spider things. Like they could jump farther, they had stronger webs. It was quite amazing. Wow, they are beautiful, Issei said, looking into the boxes. The spiders were magnificently colored, all with different colors. Red, blue, green, yellow, black, white. It was really beautiful. Yes, they are. Say, did you know that in a local laboratory, we actually created a super spider? We created a brand new species of spider. We combined the DNA of all of these spiders together, and we made a new species. We called it Venom. Where is it? Issei asked. The man looked into one of the boxes. I guess one of our researchers are working with. I'm sorry, the man said with a smile. Oh, that is okay. This is really cool. What are you calling these new spiders? Well, we haven't developed an actual scientific name for them, but right now we are calling them devil spiders. 'Cause they were in New Jersey? Issei said with a laugh. A little bit of that, but it was mainly because, take a look at their abdomens. Top and bottom, do you see those patterns on them? They all have strange patterns on them, in the shape of bat wings. So, we decided to call them devil spiders. Huh, that is really neat, Issei said. Unknown to him, a spider was lurking about on the ceiling above, coming down upon a web. I like that name. So, I wanted to give you something, Issei said, taking out his wallet. He handed him a 5,000 yen banknote. Oh, we can't accept this, the man said with a smile. The spider landed upon Issei's jacket and began to crawl in. Oh, please, I insist. I want to help you guys out. I know that this research doesn't get too much federal money, so please take it. Well, I appreciate the donation. Say, since we have the spiders, you would like to be able to have a spider named after you? Are you serious? Yes, of course. Well, I would love it. Can I choose? Of course. Issei pointed towards the tarantula. I want that one. Then we shall call it. What is your name? Issei Hyoudou. We shall call it the Hyoudou spider. It has a nice ring to it. It does. Thank you so much. We thank you as well. Well, it is time for me to head home. Of course. Come back again. I will, Issei said with a smile, waving goodbye and leaving. Upon exiting the room where the spiders were, Issei felt a massive pain on his right wrist. He began to shake it, and what came out shocked him. A massive spider came out of his jacket and scurried away. The hell? Issei pulled up his jacket sleeve and looked at the injury. It was already swelling. Issei left the building and began to run home, his stomach hungry. It was the next morning, a Saturday morning, when Issei woke up. He was sleeping on the floor, and when he got up, he was full of energy. Oh man, I guess I was lucky I didn't die, Issei said with a laugh. He got up and went past his mirror, going to get his clothes, but then he stopped. The hell? Issei said. He was suddenly full of muscles, a six-pack included. It wasn't perfect, of course, but he was shocked. Holy cow, did that spider? No, couldn't be, but what other explanation is this? Issei said, shocked. Issei shook his head, just not going to worry about it. He was just going to take this gift and not look it in the mouth. Issei left his room after getting dressed in some clothing, finding that it was a mucher fit than before. Damn, I need to buy some new clothes, Issei said. He took his wallet and some toast before leaving the house. His parents were eating, but they said nothing. He went outside into the sunlight and began to jog, only to feel a need to sprint. Issei started sprinting, and what shocked him was his speed as a sprinter was immense. He was so much faster than before. He was able to keep up with an accelerating car. About 5 minutes later, Issei was in downtown Tokyo, with his headphones in his ears. He was listening to some American rapper known as Eminem. He was listening to the song Monster as he entered the mall and walked around. He headed towards his favorite store, which sold his favorite clothing, and he began to browse. He began to look through a rack of clothes when something shot out of his wrist. It was something stringy. It attached to the ceiling and he was pulled up, where he hit the ceiling, then somehow disconnected, hitting the floor. Ow, Issei said. What the was that? He got up out of the destruction of the rack, before he quickly grabbed the clothing he saw and then went to another rack. He finished up in 20 minutes, walking towards the exit when he spotted something. Crimson red hair. Issei looked at her from the corner, and her eyes She was gorgeous and she had enormous breasts. She was drop-dead gorgeous. She was walking with another girl who had even bigger jugs. It was a girl who had her black hair in a long ponytail. She was really pretty. They both were the hottest girls Issei ever saw, but he knew he never had a chance. However, when he passed them, he noticed them turn their heads his way and looked at him. However, he increased his speed and left. Back in the mall, the two girls looked at each other. Was that a stray? Rias asked. Sure looked like it. He didn't even notice us though it seemed. Well, this isn't our jurisdiction anyway, Rias said. Aquino nodded and just continued walking with Rias. Back with Issei though, he was currently heading back to his school. He had access to enter it at any time he chose, due to the fact he was the brightest mind there. He was always giving the school high marks. He was going there to do some research and for some privacy. Upon entering the school, he quickly headed towards the science room, which was a massive room which would provide privacy while also having access to a computer. He sat down on a chair near a computer and sighed. Alright, something is wrong, so let's see if I can reproduce the incident, he said, closing his eyes. He began to think and think when he began to do weird symbols with his hands. That was then he did one symbol, and the stringy material shot out of his hand. It hit the wall, and when he found out how to release the material, he walked over. Is that webbing? What the hell? Did I become a spider? Issei said with a laugh. That is awesome, Issei said out, now shooting out a ton of webbing all over the room, making the entire covered in a large cobweb-like webbing. Alrighty. I think I can make this work, Issei said with a laugh. So what do I do with these powers? I'd rather people not know, so perhaps some sort of costume? Could I create one out of my webs? Issei said, thinking to himself. However, he sniffed, and that is when he felt something in his mind. Fire! He quickly went to the door, and that is when he noticed that half the school was on fire, and that it was quickly consuming the rest of the school. He quickly opened the door, and found that all his exits were blocked. Shit! Where do I go? The roof? Issei asked himself. He looked up and put his hand up and shot out his webbing, breathing calmly before he was launched into the air. He reached out and missed the roof's beam, but when he fell, he hit the wall and stuck there. Oh my god, I can climb walls? Oh geez, this is going to be fun as hell, Issei said, climbing along the wall and exiting onto the roof through an open sunroof. When he got to the roof, he noticed that he couldn't see a thing due to the smoke that has risen. The school was on fire, and he had no idea what to do, so he just looked up to one of the nearby skyscrapers and shot his web, getting the hell out of there. Issei swung himself home, though he hit quite a few buildings on the way. His nose was a bit bloody, but he was okay. He entered his house through the front door and began to make his way to his room, but then he was called. Issei, come in the kitchen. We need to have a talk, said Issei's father, even if he was adopted. Issei walked in. Yes, Dad? Sit down, he said. Issei noticed that there was a suitcase, and Issei's spider cage on top of it. Issei sat down, confused. Me and your mother are leaving. We are going to sell the house and go into retirement. What about me? I would not abandon you on the streets without financial aid. So ever since I adopted you, we set aside some money every month into a bank account for you. You can continue to go to the school here if you wish, but we are leaving tonight. You have $102,630,000,000 $1 billion in U.S. money, yen in that bank account. You should be fine for life. Just don't lose this, his father said, giving him the bank account card. We already have the legal document here that states we are no longer obligated to take care of you. Here is $50. Go get some lunch and get out of here. Oh, and we are giving you one of the cars. The Viper. Wow, I don't know what to say. A thank you? I was at least nice enough to give you the tools you need to live. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Good. Now leave, his father said. Issei nodded and stood up, not going to make a scene. He was not going to complain because he really had no complaints. He raised himself basically anyway. He quickly took his belongings and the car key, before heading out to the garage. He walked in and there it was, a black and red, 2014 Dodge Viper. High-end. Super speed. Issei did have his driver's license, so he was able to drive. But a viper? He was so happy. Issei loaded the trunk with his suitcase, since he did not have many things. In fact, he had nothing. No TV or video games of his own. He was always outside doing sciencey things. He then placed the spider cage on the floorboard in the back, making sure it was snug and wouldn't spin around. He then got into the front seat of the car and started it up, hearing the engine purr. "Holy cow, I am in love," Issei said before he pulled out onto the road, heading towards the edge of town. "So, Satan, where do you think I should go to school now?" Issei said, driving down the highway, passing by other cars. The spider said nothing. The spider's name was Satan due to his abnormal red eyes. I think I know. I heard about this one school which has a great science program, Co-Academy. It just turned into co-ed school like a month ago. Let's be like the first one in, alright? They also allow pets, I hear. Isn't that exciting? It said nothing again because it's a spider. Let us go make a costume real quick. There is a fantastic costume shop up ahead. I can make it personally, Issei said with a smile, pulling over. About 5 hours later, it was now 6 p.m. Issei was out on the road, with his costume in the back seat. The costume was a simple black spandex costume with a slight gel layer underneath. The gel was very flexible like the latex, so it was comfortable as well. It was plain black with 2 white materials for his eyes. It was a one-way mirror kind of thing, so only he could see out, and no one could see in. It also had 2 basic red spiders on it. One on the front, and one on the back. The spiders were quite big as well. Yeah, I got lazy, Satan. Don't laugh. I just didn't want to make something too intricate. I was going to go with a white spider, but seriously, red and black is like the best combination. White is black. Ah, screw you too then, Issei said. Issei was known to talk to his spider, as the spider was his only friend. Yeah, he was weird, but he didn't care once he turned 13. Once he was 13, he accepted himself and just stopped caring, even if it got him bullied. Issei entered a smaller town outside of Tokyo, though people still considered it Tokyo. It was only a 10-minute drive to the center of Tokyo, so it wasn't like it was a big deal. He sighed and entered the town, looking around. Wow, this town is gorgeous. Satan! Look at that sunset. And look at the mountains. Oh wow, this place is beautiful, Issei said, amazed. He pulled off on the side of the road and got out, looking at the sunset now. Issei was also into the amazing beauty of the world, which also led him to liking the spiders as they are beautiful. Issei watched for 20 minutes before jumping back into the Viper and driving away, hoping to find a home. About 3 hours later, the sun was down, and Issei bought himself a home with his bank account money. It was a large house, with 4 floors and 3 basement floors. It was an older mansion which was made as a model house by some rich folks named Gremory. It was the only house that was for sale, so Issei bought it for 102,630,000 yen, which was $1 million in US dollars. He sighed happily, already good to go to school as he transferred his education to Co-Academy, which was easy thanks to his high marks at his old school, which was burnt down due to the heating system in the school malfunctioning and exploding. Issei was rich, had spider superpowers, and was happy because he was able to share it with Satan. Issei was going to live life now. Upon entering Tokyo, he used his web and shot off of the train. He began to swing through the side, humming the George of the Jungle theme. He was just swinging around, trying to think about what he wanted to do for the day. He looked down and spotted the girls he saw yesterday, except they were with another girl, a smaller girl who had white hair. He decided to swing down next to them, swinging right over their heads, his butt just an inch above the girl with the crimson, forcing them all to jump in shock as he passed. He then laughed loudly, before he swung high into the air, leaping in the air before throwing another web out, and swinging on that. He was gone. What the hell was that? Akino asked. Was that a guy in a suit flying through the air? Rias asked incredulously. He had a giant spider on his chest and back, Kaneko said quietly. A giant spider? Seriously? Akino said/asked with just confusion. Who the hell would put a giant spider on a suit and fly around the city? The other two just shrugged and kept on walking through the large city. Issei did not know the girls, but he saw 2 of them in the mall, so he might as well enjoy himself and bug them, right? He was flying around the city when he noticed a large fire occurring within an apartment building. He noticed that there were firemen and such trying to combat the blaze, but they could not do much. There was a bunch of screaming and crying, so Issei was quick to swing down to their level. Issei was not planning to be a superhero, not at all, but he did like to help out people when he could. "My baby is in there," said a screaming woman. "What floor is it?" Issei asked her. She looked at him with tears in her eyes. "Top floor, that one," she said, pointing towards the window which was still intact. Issei nodded and leapt up into the air before using his webs to launch him through the window and into the fire. Issei ran through the flaming house, leaping over the broken floors and dodging the falling ceiling, trying to find the baby. He then heard the crying and the screaming, which sounded like a baby, so he hurried up, went through the nearby wall, getting to the baby. He picked her up and flew out of the window, swinging down. He handed the baby to the mom, who hugged her. Thank you, who are you?" the woman asked as she was still crying while her husband hugged onto her. "My name? I don't have one, honestly. I think deliciously deadly is funny, but you can call me Venomous," Issei said with a chuckle before he flew up into the air, swinging away. "Thank you, Venomous," called the couple. Issei just swung away, though when he turned the corner, he noticed first the 3 girls from before, so he was about to swing down, but across the street was a bunch of armored robbers. They had black ski masks on, and there was 5 of them. He sighed and swung down, striking the first one in the back, with his 2 feet extended, sending him flying into the van they came out of. "What the hell is that thing?" one of the robbers said. Issei leapt onto the guy's head before using him as a springboard and bashing the guy behind him with his 2 feet. He then used his 2 hands and grabbed 2 more guards with his webs, yanking them off of their feet. "Die, you bastard!" yelled one of the guards. Issei felt a tingly sensation and began to judge the pistol shots by the guy. Issei laughed and yanked the gun out of the guy's hand. "What are you, a cop?" "You're kidding, right? A cop. Dressed in a black suit. With a red spider on it. Maybe this is why your robbing failed, you can't think." The robber pulled out a crowbar, and Issei immediately went to his knees. "No! Not a crowbar. You have found my kryptonite. That's right, now let me go." Issei stood up and his head began to back up, as if he was about to sneeze. He began to do the odd jerking motion of the sneeze, before he actually really sneezed. However, he lifted up his mask before he did it, revealing his mouth. When he sneezed, he released a bunch of webbing, placing an actual spider web onto the robber, tying him up against his van. Excuse me. I am allergic to stupidity," Issei said, pulling his mask back down. Issei shot up into the air, disappearing from view, until he came back down. The 3 girls were watching this with confusion, amazement, and shock. When he came down, he swung on his web upside down, coming at them from the front. He then put his hands like guns, and then clicked his tongue at them. With that, he shot back up into the air, laughing like a maniac. "Woo-hoo!" he screamed out, letting the street know that he was entertained. Back on the street, Rias, Akino, and Kaneko began to laugh. "Oh my, did you see that? Did he really just come at us with that gun and tongue clicking? Who does that anymore?" Akino said with a laugh. "I am still amused that he has a giant spider on him. I thought he was funny though, with the sneeze. I mean seriously, he was mocking them while dodging gunfire. He was quite acrobatic as well," Rias said. "Though I am curious who he is," Akino said. "I think we all are, but did anyone else sense the demonic presence from him?" "I did. It was faint, but I think that guy is a devil," Akino said. "Perhaps it was a stray." Akino and Rias looked at each other. "No," they both said together. "Couldn't be." About 6 hours later, Issei was heading to the train station, wanting to catch the bullet train back to his town. He landed onto one of the cars with no sound at all, quiet as a mouse. He then proceeded to sit to lay down on the train, resting. Down in the station, the Rias, Akino, and Kaneko all watched as the guy in the suit landed on the train, then laid down. "Do you think he is going to our town?" Rias asked. "It's possible, but there is another town it goes to after it, but that is like 100 miles away," Akino said. "A giant spider. was all Kaneko said. She was just fixated on the fact that there is a guy, in spandex, with a giant spider on it, swinging around a city, then riding a train. They all entered the train and sat down on their car seats, when the train began to depart. It left the station and quickly picked up speed, picking up its speed to 320 miles per hour, which is the fastest a train has gone. The three girls were just talking about the school and what was going to happen in the next week, when Kaneko pointed to the window. They all looked. What shocked them was the spider guy walking on the side of the train, passing them by and heading to the front train. How the hell? Rias said with amazement. They then heard all of the passengers gasp in shock and awe, confused about what was going on. Then noticed the guy placed his stringy material onto the side of the car and wait. The train began to slow down, and when it came to sub 50 miles per hour, he leapt off the side of the train and then slingshot his way off of the train, towards town. Well, I guess that means he is going here, Aquino said. Yeah, that guy is a daredevil, Rias said. With that they got off and went home. It was Monday morning. Issei was going to attend his first day of school at Ko Academy, originally an all-girls school until 2 months ago, when the year started. Today was incidentally Bring Your Pet to School Day, so Issei was quite excited. His old school did not have a Bring Your Pet to School Day, so it was something he wanted to do. He loved Satan, he worshipped Satan, so he was very happy to show him off. Issei placed Satan onto his shoulder, which the spider just sat there, not moving. Satan was a very mild-tempered Goliath bird-eating tarantula. He was a massive spider with 1-inch fangs. So if he bit, it would not normally be lethal, but it would hurt bad. Issei put in his headphones and went off to school with his bag, walking up the street. As Issei entered the school grounds, he noticed the 3 girls from Tokyo. He was quite shocked to see that they lived in the same town as him now, but he smiled, seeing as they did not know he was doing the weird stuff to them. What can he say? He was a show-off for the pretty ladies, even if he didn't have a chance. Rias, Kaneko, and Aquino both turned their heads as they heard the gasps and whispers about the new kid wandering in school. When they spotted him, Rias and Aquino looked at each other. He goes here? Do you see the spider on his shoulder? Rias said. It can't be a coincidence, can it? Kaneko said quietly. Issei was busy nodding his head to his music, which was blaring quite loudly actually. It was a techno song used in dance clubs. Issei walked into the school where a lot of the students made way for him, as they noticed the gigantic ing spider. EW, what a freak. A spider for a pet? Said one girl. Issei sighed, already seeing how his reputation at this school is going, but it was fine with him either way. They both had their ups and downs. This way, he would have his privacy. Issei went up to a large board on a pillar, reading to where his classroom was. He hummed softly and felt a tingly sensation. He was being watched by the 3 girls, but he did nothing. He nodded and made his way to his classroom, which was on the other side of the school, meaning it was really far away from the cafeteria. He entered his classroom and walked up to the teacher. The teacher looked up, then jumped back in shock from the spider. Excuse me, I am your new student. Do you by any chance know where my seat is? Yeah, let me look for it, she said, looking through her book. She then pointed towards the seat all the way in the corner by the window. Thank you very much, Issei said with a smile, walking over. He placed Satan onto the desk, who started to walk around, feeling his way around. It was then Issei relaxed. He had a good relationship with Satan. Satan has never bitten him, has never even gotten aggressive. He has always been a good spider. The bell rung, in which the students began to pile into the room, talking about whatever. They all began to shut up when they noticed Satan, who was a foot around in size, walking around on Issei's desk. They all began to shudder in fear, since a lot of people fear spiders. They began to take their seats. Issei raised a brow as he noticed the small girl with the white hair walk in. He then looked back to Satan, watching him. He did not want to draw suspicion at all. Kaneko noticed him, but she took the seat next to him. Most of the other students pushed their desks away from him, trying to get away from the spider. Issei was smiling, enjoying the fact that Satan, who was so nice, made everyone fear him. It was awesome. Welcome, class. We have a new student to join our school today. Would you please stand up and introduce yourself? Issei used both hands and placed them in front of Satan, who crawled into his hands then stood up. Yes. My name is Issei Hyoudou. I moved in from Tokyo a couple days ago, so I go to this school now. This big guy is known as Satan, due to his unusual eye color. Please treat us well, Issei said, bowing his head and sitting back down. Why yes, thank you Mr. Hyoudou. Anyways, class today we shall be learning. The teacher went on about the class today. Issei pulled out a notebook and placed it on the desk, away from Satan, and began to draw and doodle. The class ended in about 4 hours, in which Issei was not at all paying attention to the teacher, but he did all his classwork. It was easy for him. Issei was smart. So Issei drew during class, drawing violent depictions of Satan fighting with other animals. He fought a scorpion and a snake, in his drawings. Satan, being an asshole, walked all over the doodles at times, and even at one point for about 30 minutes, just stopped and rested on it. Issei and Satan made their way to the cafeteria, Issei chuckling as people gave way to him, thanks to the giant spider on his shoulder. So he was the first one to the lunch line, and the first one to get his food. The lunch lady even gave him extra helpings as she was shaking in fear. Issei looked around and took a seat at a decent-sized table in the back, not knowing where to sit. He placed Satan onto the table and then placed a mouse onto the table on the other end, letting Satan have his meal as well. The mouse just got up and started to move. Kaneko, Rias and Akino were all leaving the lunch line when they noticed that their table was taken by Issei and Satan. Do we approach him now, Rias? I am not sure. I know that he is a stray, but it might be risky. However, Kaneko was already over near the table and taking a seat. They looked at each other and followed. Issei looked up as he noticed that the small girl next to him took a seat. He went back to his eating, watching over Satan and the mouse, making sure the mouse did not drop. He then noticed the other 2 girls taking a seat next to the small girl, all of them eating. Satan was in the middle and the mouse was getting closer. Strike! Satan struck his lightning speed, pinning the mouse to the table as its 1-inch fangs dove into the mouse's body, injecting it with his venom. The 3 girls watched the spider with some fascination, watching it kill the mouse. It's dead within 45 seconds. The spider then began to feast. Nice spider, the girl with the red hair said. Thanks. His name is Satan, Issei said, now just eating his food. It's a cute name. So you are new here, huh? Said the girl with the black hair and the ponytail. Yes, I just moved here a couple days ago from Tokyo. What is your name? Issei Hyoudou. Yours? Rias Gremery. Issei blinked and looked up with the mention of this name. Akino Himejima. Kaneko Tuja. Ha, I bought my house from your family, Rias, Issei said. Really? I didn't even know they had a house up here for sale. It was a model house. I bought it for 100 million yen. They all looked at each other. You have money? Akino asked. Yes, I have over 100 billion in my bank account. Geez, your family must be rich. I don't have a family. I was adopted. Several days ago, they left me to fend for myself in this world, though they did give me a car and the money, so I was okay with it. My old school burned down, so I moved here. Anyway, it is nice to meet all of you, Issei said with a smile. He looked down and noticed Satan was already done with his meal, so he quickly took the mouse remains and threw it away. He then sat back down at the table, finishing up his meal. I am sorry to hear that, Rias said. Bah, I am fine with it. More than fine, actually, but I thank you for your concern. Would you want to hang out sometime? Akino asked sweetly. Issei raised a brow, an alarm going off in his head. I think I will pass for today, thank you though. The bell then rung, saving him. Issei quickly got Satan and made his way out of the cafeteria, heading to his next class. Rias and Akino looked at each other. I don't think he even knows he's a devil, Akino said. It's possible he was made into one without his knowledge. How do we proceed then? Aren't we supposed to eliminate all strays? Rias just sighed. Yeah, so I guess we have to handle this, huh? Looks like it, Akino said with a frown. Alright, we will handle this after school. Something tells me that he won't be an easy target. The 3 girls then nodded, leaving the cafeteria as well. It was after school now. Issei was already home and Satan was back in his tank. Issei refilled the water bowl, then closed the lid before he left his house. He was planning to go to a local arcade and see what they had there. The one in Tokyo was really well stocked. Issei made sure he took his debit card so he could get some coins from the ATM if they had one. He was walking through the park with the sun setting. It was void of life, except a few squirrels. No one around. That is when he felt something. He quickly did a backflip, flipping 3 times into the air before landing onto the ground on all 4s. A tree nearby was eliminated. Issei looked around and noticed Rias was walking over towards him. So you sensed it, huh? Interesting. Did you just? Yes. As you are a stray, it is our duty to eliminate you. A stray? Do tell. Issei said, leaping into the air over another boy who came at him with the sword. Issei was in the air now, when a bench came at him. It was Kaneko. Issei dodged it barely in midair. He shot a web at the ground, then shot a web behind him, grabbing the airborne bench. What goes around comes around! Issei yelled out as he flung the bench right into Kaneko, sending her skidding across the ground as the bench exploded on her body. So you are him, Rias said. Issei was on the ground now as the sword user came after him. Sorry about this, but master's orders, the boy said with a smile. He was a handsome boy. Issei began to move his body back and to the left and right, ducking and other moves, dodging the sword. Issei then grabbed the boy's sword hand and twisted the arm, making him squirm in pain. Falco. Issei punched him square in the chest, sending him flying into a tree. Punch! Issei quickly did a roll, dodging a thunderbolt that came from the sky. Ah, you really are fast on your feet. Hee hee, this will be fun. Akino said, thunder in her hands. Issei smirked and hit her in the chest with his web before swinging her around into Rias, sending them both into a tree. Issei leapt into the air, shot 2 webs into the ground, then slingshot into Kaneko, sending her skidding across the ground. Issei then shot webs onto her feet, webbing her to the ground. He then webbed 2 benches and pulled them, yanking them right into Kaneko. As the benches exploded, Issei used the distraction to hit her in the face with a light post, sending her flying into a tree, right into Rias and Akino, who just got up. And Venomous gets a home run. And the crowd goes wild. Issei yells out, doing the audience noise. Issei quickly did a back flip over the swordsman, who turned around and came at Issei. Issei began shooting webs at the boy, but he was fast on his feet, dodging through them. Issei backed up, getting in between 2 trees as he kept dodging the attacks from the sword user, who was now using his speed to attack. He was no longer just attacking as a swordsman, but he was doing hit and run attacks. Issei built up a giant web between the 2 trees, just as the swordsman swung down. The sword was stuck in the web and so was he. This seems to be a sticky situation, Issei said, laughing before leaping into the air. He then slingshot himself over towards Rias and Akino, grinning. Is this all you got? Issei said with a laugh. Akino and Rias began shooting their powers at him. Issei began to dodge them, doing one-handed handstands, rolls, and other acrobatic acts. He used his webs and grabbed onto their stomachs, before slinging them right into the web with the sword user. He then shot multiple web shots, hitting their hands and feet, webbing them to his giant web. Issei slightly moved to his left, dodging the punch from Kaneko. He quickly went down and swung his legs out, sweeping her legs out from under her. He then tied her hands and feet together with his sticky white stuff and threw her into the web with the others. The sword user was summoning swords from underneath, attempting to cut the threads, but it did barely anything. Issei walked over to them, looking at their faces now. The webs will dissolve in 2 hours. For your punishment of trying to kill me for no reason, you shall hang there until the webbing dissolves. Goodbye, Issei said, leaving the park with a wave. Once Issei was out of sight, they stopped struggling, seeing it was useless. What the hell was that? I have never heard of a superpower like his. It is like he is part spider, Rias said, frustrated. Perhaps we should have done our research before we attempted to take his life, Akino said. So he is that guy swinging on his webs doing the gun fingers to us, Kaneko said, just lying there. Sigh. He is a real interesting stray. I haven't met a stray who has been able to defeat me, said the swordsman. So this will be awkward when we are at school tomorrow, Rias said with a laugh. Issei was now inside the local arcade, where he got some coins and began to play some arcade games. He first played a shooter, shooting terrorists in the face with a shotgun. He then played a racing game, enjoying himself. All this time, though, he was thinking to himself about the girls. What do they mean I was a stray? What am I? What are they? What is going on? Issei thought to himself, trying to figure out what was going on. He was lost. Issei was walking down his road, heading to school, when he heard someone yelp and fall down. It sounded like a girl. Issei stopped and turned his head, spotting a young girl dressed in a nun outfit. She was on her hands and knees, her panties in complete view. Ew, it looks like I fell down again. Am such a clumsy girl. She sat up after realizing someone was there. She looked at Issei with shock. Issei jogged over. Hey, you alright? Yeah, I'm okay. Issei smiled and helped her up. She is cute. Very cute. I like the nun outfit. The wind blew off her hood on her nun outfit, so Issei quickly ran to catch it, using his speed. He caught it easily and brought it over. Oh, thank you very much. Oh, it was nothing. Oh, I'm sorry, but I am a little lost. Do you think you could help me out? Of course, Issei said with a smile. They began to walk together. Where is it you are heading? The church. Ah, I just moved here, but I know where it is. I have seen it a couple times, Issei said with a smile. Ah, thank you very much. It was then that they both heard a little boy crying in the park nearby. He had his backpack on, and it looked like he fell. The girl quickly ran over and knelt down. Big boys should not be crying over such a little scrape, the girl said, smiling. A green light came out of her hand, and Issei watched as the wound healed. Great, another super-powered female. What the hell is with this town? Issei thought. He wasn't upset, it was just strange. As he watched, he felt a small tingly sensation in his head. He looked around, but didn't sense anything dangerous. He shrugged and ignored it, waiting for the girl. The girl turned and looked at Issei. All done now. Sorry about that, she said, sticking her tongue out. Issei smirked and began to walk with her again. As they were walking, he looked down and noticed her rosario. Another tingly sensation which hurt a bit more. What the hell? What was that? Ugh, my spider sense is acting strange. You must be kind of surprised, the girl said. Oh, not at all. I have been around the block a few times. I have seen things. It is a nice power, though. Thank you. I consider it to be a gift and a blessing. They kept on walking in silence now for about 5 more minutes when she spotted the church. Ah, there it is. Ah, yeah, that is the church all right. It's funny though, I have walked by a few times, but I haven't seen anyone. It was then, his spider sense tingled up again. Okay, what the? Bad spider sense bad. Thank goodness you were here to help me. Ah, it was not a problem. Let me thank you properly. Would it be a problem if you could come inside with me? Not at all. I would be glad to, Issei said with a smile. He had school, but he was already so far ahead, missing a day would do nothing, or half a day for that matter. They began to walk together up to the church. His spider sense began to wig out again every couple minutes. Oh, my name is Asia Argento. Ah, I am Issei Hyoudou. It is a pleasure to meet you. Yes, it really was a blessing to meet you, Asia said as they both entered the church. They walked in together with a smile, and when Issei looked up, he noticed that there was 3 girls and 2 boys inside, talking. They shut up when the door opened, and all 5 of them had wide eyes. It was then his spider sense wigged out big time, telling him these 5 people were bad news. Issei, however, was confident, so he walked in with Asia. It was a blessing to meet you too, I suppose, Issei said with a laugh. Asia left Issei's side as he sat down on one of those chair thingies in a church. The 5 people then looked away, looking at Asia. Are you Asia Argento? The female with black hair asked. Yes. I was brought here by this boy. I hope it was okay to bring him here. A boy with blonde hair and very hateful eyes was now looking at Issei, looking at him with hunger. Issei grinned at him. Hey, don't look at me. I ain't homo, I see those hungry eyes, Issei said with a laugh. The boy just glared at him. Issei laughed again. Hey Asia, I will have to pass on the tea, okay? I need to get to school. Issei said with a smile. Alright, it was great meeting you. Yeah, you too. I'll see you around, Issei said, leaving the church. Something about this town, it's strange. Something about everything going on, I need to find out what. Issei thought as he began to enter the school grounds. He entered when the first class ended, so he ended up entering the school at lunchtime. He quickly entered the school and blended in with the crowd, heading to the lunchroom. His stomach was rumbling like crazy. As he entered the lunch line, this time no one gave him space since he had no spider. He frowned a bit at this because he loved the front line, but he was okay. He finally made his way up to the counter and got his food, turning to head over to the table where he sat yesterday, but he spotted the three girls. Issei sighed and thought to himself. He then developed a devious smirk, so he went over to the table with the three girls, Rias, Akino and Kaneko. He sat down in his chair, which made the three girls jump in shock. He had on a very big grin as he ate his dinner, loving the awkward tension that was there. Three girls who attempted to kill him was sitting with him at the table. So, how is everyone doing today? Issei asked. They bit there and fidgeted. Issei began to bust out in laughter, unable to keep it in. He loved this. He loved the fact that they froze up when Issei sat down. He kicked their asses in the park and didn't even kill them like they tried to do them. Oh man. Oh man. Haha. Issei said with a laugh. He picked up his meal and left, finishing it on the way to the trash can. He placed his trash in the can and left, laughing again. He was enjoying himself. About 4 hours later, school ended. Issei was down in the science lab, doing some experiments. He was playing with chemicals, attempting to create explosive compounds. He was given access to all chemicals in the science lab and he could take them home if he wanted to, all because he was the smartest kid in school. He would bring greatness. Issei played in the science lab for another 4 hours, which meant he left school around 8 p.m. As he headed home, he heard a scream of pain, then another, before silence. He knew it was a deathly scream, so he quickly ran towards the sound. It was a house, and his spider sense was telling him danger was inside. He entered the home quickly, without knocking, running in. As he entered, he froze as he spotted something on the wall. A body, nailed in an upside-down cross, the body disemboweled and cut up into many pieces. Punish the wicked. Words to live by, wise advice to abide by when said by a holy man, said a voice. It was a man sitting on the couch. Issei raised a brow as he spotted the guy, as it was the man who was in the church the other day, giving him vulgar eyes. Ah, it's you again. How fortuitous for me. How lovely I would come across another devil pussy. Well, it seems you went into the wrong house, my friend. Fried Selzen at your service. I can't wait to exorcise your devil ass. So you are the one who did this, huh? Well, he was summoning a devil, so it was proof he was doing being human. So it was the end of the line for that sinner. So I cut him up into itty-bitty pieces. Uh-huh, Issei said, clicking his tongue. Putting down devils and the degenerate sinners is my job, and no one does it better than me, Fried said, pulling out a sword hilt and a gun. Issei raised a brow. The sword then grew a blade of light. First Imam, cut out your evil heart with this sword of light, then Imma fill with your body with so many holes, they wouldn't be able to recognize you. Oh, you got a fancy night light. I am so scared, Issei said with a grin. Fried charged at Issei and slashed with his sword of light, but Issei quickly slid under him. Kablam! The man said, aiming his gun. Issei did a backflip and dodged the bullet of light. Haha! This will be fun, devil pussy, Fried said, charging at Issei. Issei dodged the vertical slash. Too slow, Issei said, laughing at him. Fried then fired a bullet back. Issei dodged to the side. Can't touch this. Dun na 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 na. Can't touch this, Issei said, laughing. Aya! Issei and Fried turned. It was Asia. She screamed out as she spotted the body. Asia? What the hell? Why are you here? Are you done creating the barrier already? Don't do this, what did you do? Oh right, a newbie. That man was a sinner, summoning a devil. It is our job to punish the wicked, isn't it? Yes, but this isn't how the Lord would want it to be done. Asia turned and gasped. She spotted Issei. Issei? Yo, Issei said, waving to her. He was leaning against the wall. He was going to kick Fried's ass here soon, but he enjoyed the conversations. Oh right, this devil pussy brought you to our church. Well, Asia, it's about time you knew this man is a devil. Seriously? I keep telling you, I am not. What is with this town, and calling me a devil? Is it because I have powers of an animal people like to consider a devil animal? You know, Asia, you can't be friends with him. The fallen angels have explicitly forbidden all forms of contact between our kind and theirs. They are our enemies anyway. So it is our duty to kill them. Asia stood in front of Issei. Please forgive him, Father Fried. Issei may be a devil, but he has good in him. Seriously? Am I just being ignored? Issei said in disbelief. It doesn't matter. You made a pledge to defeat his kind, Fried said. It doesn't matter what he is, Asia said. Please forgive him. How can you believe the Holy Father would actually approve of this? Aya! Enough of this bullshit! Fried yelled out, slashing with his sword of light into Asia's clothes, tearing them apart and leaving her. She gasped out in shock. Issei stood up from his leaning. You lost your mind. Are there worms growing inside that stupid head of yours? Our fallen angel friend said I am not supposed to hurt you, but that doesn't mean I can't you, he said, pinning her against the wall. Issei tapped on his shoulder. He turned to Issei. Did you forget about me? Issei said as his fist went straight into Fried's face, sending him flying into a nearby wall. Issei? Asia said in a gasp. Asia. Get behind me. Now. Issei said. Asia complied. You little devil shit. Ha! Let us finish what we started. Issei got into a Wild West form, his hands at his sides like guns. You want to draw? Fried smirked. You are crazy, but all right, Fried said, putting his gun on his hip, ready to draw. Draw, they both said. Fried gripped his gun, but Issei was faster, shooting out web after web after web. Bang 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 bang, Issei called out after every web. He shot 8 webs, 4 from each hand. The webs hit Fried in the chest and face, pelting him with the heavy balls of webs. Fried went down to his butt. Ow! What the hell was that? Fried said, getting up and shooting at Issei now. Issei just moved his body side to side, dodging each shot. He shot his web out and bashed Fried in the side of the head with a lamp. Fried hit the wall. I have to say, I am impressed. I haven't met a devil who has given me such a time, Fried said, smiling after spitting out blood. How about we go for a world record? Let's find out how many pieces I can chop you into, Fried said, putting down the gun and putting both hands on his sword. He charged at Issei and Issei stood his ground, just moving his body left, right, back, or he ducked. He was dodging at immense speeds, his reflexes great. Wow, my grandmother swings better than you, Issei said, laughing. Fried roared in fury at Issei's constant jokes. He began to slash wilder. Issei kept dodging only to drop to the ground and do a sweeping kick. And he goes down once again. Is this the end for Fried Selzen? Said Issei in his best announcer imitation. Inside the house, a portal began to appear. Ah, it seems you are out of time, devil scum. I have friends coming. Those aren't friends. You don't have any friends. What you have are people who pity you and just put up with you. There is a difference. Ah! You devil bastard! No thanks, I don't do guys, Issei said, taunting Fried again. Fried charged at Issei again, but Issei just hit him in the gut with his fist, then hit him with an uppercut, sending Fried down to the ground. It was then all the people he saw in the church began to appear from the portals. Issei, run! I am not leaving you, Asia. The girl with black hair sneered at Issei. So you were the one causing us all this trouble, huh? I was warned by Fried that he was having trouble. You were given a free pass by helping Asia get to us, but now you will perish. This girl was really pretty with big boobs and a gorgeous body. She didn't wear much in her outfit either. The girl formed a large light spear in her hands, as did the other ones. Oh, glow sticks. Are we going to a rave? Issei said, getting into position. Asia was quick and stood between them and Issei. Asia! Get out of the way! That is a devil! No, Lady Rainier, I will not let you hurt him. Issei gently moved Asia out of the way. Trust me. I am not weak. I can handle these clowns, Issei said. With that, Issei moved once to attack, but a red circle began to appear. The devils are here. Let's get out of here, the small girl said. Grab Asia and let's go, Rainier said. Fried grabbed Asia and left as Rainier, and the other three prevented him from grabbing her. Issei was in a bad situation due to how small the room was they were in, so he was not able to move around much. With that, Rias, Akino, Kaneko, and the sword user appeared out of the circle. Issei, are you working with the fallen angels? Rias exclaimed. What are you talking about now? Fallen angels? Devils? I swear, this town is way too into the Bible in this place, Issei said, rolling his eyes. No, some lunatic with a light sword did this. I came here because I heard the screams. When I came here, I fought with the lunatic, kicked his ass, and he summoned friends like a sore loser. Then you guys showed up and scared them off, in which they took my friend, though my friend was part of them, I suppose. So I suppose I should thank you. I think you guys saved my life. I can't fight well against multiple opponents in locations. Issei, you are a devil. You just fought with an exorcist and fallen angels. Oh yeah, I am sure. Look, if you don't mind. I am going home. I am tired and I need to feed Satan. Goodbye, Issei said, walking past the girls and the sword user. He then went home ready to sleep. He was going to save Asia from those freaks. He knew they were bad news now. It was the next morning. It was a Wednesday, another ING school day. Issei was staying home, looking at the floor, his mind trying to think about what he should do. Asia did not belong with those fallen angel pricks, but Asia did choose to stay with them. Maybe he was wrong, maybe Asia wanted to, he didn't know, and it frustrated him to no end. Issei decided to skip school and walk around the town. He wore some normal clothes and walked around, his mind elsewhere. He ended up at the park where he saw Asia use her powers. It was an empty park for the most part, with only a couple other people around. He sighed and sat on top of the monkey bars, looking up into the sky. Issei? Said a voice from below and behind. Issei got up and turned around, looking down. It was Asia. Asia? Asia said with a smile. Issei leapt down from the monkey bars and stood before her. You hungry? He asked. She nodded. With that, they went to a local hamburger stall where Issei bought them both bacon cheeseburgers. Issei was not sure if she liked cheese, but there was no way anyone could say no to bacon. They sat down in the park, on the merry-go-round, while Issei began to eat his hamburger. She looked at him, then copied him, digging into the meal. Wow! These are delicious! I haven't had a hamburger before. Issei laughed. Oh wow, really? Well, that is a bacon cheeseburger. It is really yummy, Asia said with a smile. Issei smiled at her. So Asia, what made you want to go to the park? She looked away with a serious expression before she went back to smiling at him. It was such a nice day out, I wanted to go. Ah, well, since you are free, let us hang out today, all right? Asia nodded. Okay. She smiled happily. It was then that Issei dragged her all around town, taking her to the arcade as the first stop on the fun trip. They would play video games for hours upon hours, until Issei ran out of tokens to play. Issei sighed and stood up with Asia, who was smiling happily, enjoying the day. Asia was now by one of those machines that has the animals or toys in it. The one with the claw. She was looking in one and was looking at one of the popular toys in Japan. Issei smiled. You dig stuffed animals, huh? What, no? Yes, she said, hiding her face within the nun outfit. Issei smiled and dug in his pockets. He found a stray coin. Ah, here we go, Issei said, placing the coin inside. He quickly got the claw and timed the claw, grabbing onto one of the animals with precision. He drug it over and dropped it into the bin, winning the animals. Here you go. Thank you, Issei. I will always be grateful for this. Every time I look at this, I will think of you, she said with an innocent smile. Issei smiled happily at her. Well, we aren't done yet. There is more to see around this town, he said, walking off. Thank you, this is special, even if it only for today, Asia said quietly. Issei heard her, and he put on a serious expression, but when she caught up to him, he was smiling. He walked her around the town, taking her to a small pond. They sat down on a bench with soda cans. You aren't telling me something, Issei said, his expression serious. What are you hiding from me? What do you mean? I am not hiding anything. I heard you, Asia, about it only being for today. I have extremely good hearing even if it is whispered from a long ways away. Oh, Asia began. She then began to talk about her past. When I was a baby, my real parents abandoned me in front of a church of a small town in Europe. I was told I wouldn't stop crying. The sweet nuns there brought me up. When I was 8, an injured puppy came into the church. I prayed as I could, for God to spare him, and when I did, a miracle happened. Because of my power, I was sent to a larger church. Immediately men and women from all over the world would come to see me and to get healed and blessed by my powers. I felt so happy because I had a power that would help people, Asia said, a tear in her eye. Then I came across somebody who had fallen and was in bad shape. I was able to heal him, but the man was a devil. I was labeled a witch and a heretic, so I had to run away. That is awful, Asia. Is that why you decided to join those girls, I guess? Yes, the fallen angels, but I'll never forget who I am. I pray every night, and I try my best to live a good life. They are awful and do such horrible and evil things, all in the name of God. This suffering must be a test of my faith. If I can overcome my trials, my hopes and dreams will come true. What do you dream of? To make lots of lifelong friends. To get to know them, to hang out, to have fun together. It's kind of silly, I know. Honestly, I would be happy to have any friends. Are we not friends, Asia? We hung out all day, we had fun, didn't we? Are we not friends? We played video games all day. I won you that stuffed animal, and I care about you, Asia. We can't. I care about you too, but we can't. Issei, it's forbidden, and I don't want to cause you any trouble. You know, I don't do well with people telling me what I can't do. It makes me want to do it more. If any trouble comes my way, I will show them the way of the fist. We are friends, Asia, and nothing will ever change that. We are friends, and that is the way it is. All right, thank you, Issei, Asia said with a smile as she stood up and faced him. It was then Issei felt it, the tingle. Issei quickly grabbed Asia and switched place with her, standing over her. It was then a spear of light penetrated his gut, sending him to his knees. He spat out blood. Damn, what is this pain? It is going through my entire body. A penetration is not meant to feel this way. Why does it burn so much? Damn it, I feel like I'm dying. Issei, Asia said, kneeling down and using the green light on him, healing his wound completely. Isn't that sweet, coming from a lowly devil like you? Said a recognizable voice. Lady Rainier. Don't even try to run, Asia. Be gone. I don't want anything to do with the evil you or the other angels are up to, Asia said, watching as Issei stood up. I'm sorry, Issei, but I ran away. I couldn't stand to be around them anymore. Don't apologize. I knew they were up to no good, Issei said with a glare. You're too good for them. You don't belong with those good-for-nothing crow wannabes. Are you angry, little boy? How cute, Asia. If you want your friend to live, you will come with me. If I wanted to, I could have killed him. I could have delivered a fatal blow, Reina said, a spear of light in her hand. As if she will go with you. I shall stop you right here and end this fade, Issei said, preparing to run at Rainier. However, Asia stopped him. No, don't, you will only die. I'm sorry, Asia said with a smile. Before Issei could say anything, Issei had a tingly sensation, but unfortunately, he couldn't move. A spear of light struck at his feet, sending him flying quite a bit a ways, though he landed on all 4 feet. Asia was already in Rainier's grasp. That's a good girl, don't worry though. After the ritual tonight, all your worries will be gone forever. You will be free. I will find you and I will kill you, Issei said with a glare to Rainier. Oh really? Well, come and get me then, Rainier said with a laugh, disappearing. Damn it, Issei said, smashing his hand onto the pavement, cracking it quite a bit. Issei glared angrily, his teeth bared and a growl coming from his. 5 hours later, Issei was sitting in his room on his bed. He was in his suit, holding his mask in his hands, his teeth bared. He waited because he had to make a plan, but unfortunately, he could only come up with one plan. Attack. Issei stood up and put on the mask, leaping onto the window. Satan, I learned that perhaps there is something in me that I do not know of. I need to find out what I am. All I know is the weapons used by those churchgoers hurts me more than it should. I will try and make it back tonight, but if I don't, I'm sorry. Issei said, leaping out of the window and preparing to slingshot. Landing on top of the roof of the church after slingshotting from his house, he felt a major presence within the church. A ton of power was in that church. Issei, however, still was going to go in. He quietly opened the doors from above and crawled in, the night concealing his black form. He crawled onto the roof, able to stick to any surface. Outside the church in the forest, the other 3 fallen angels were waiting. Hey! There is a figure entering the church. I know it! The doors opened. Perhaps it was just the wind, Middled, said the male. Middled sighed. Yeah, probably, man, watch duty is so boring. A red circle appeared and Aquino and Rias came out of it. Well, if it isn't the devils. Ask and you shall receive, Middled said, leaping down from the trees. My, aren't you something, huh? Aquino said, a smile on her face. My servants detected you were around, so if you were out here standing guard, then you must have been worried about an attack. No, we aren't worried. We are just in the middle of a top-secret ritual we don't want you devils to interfere with. Not to burst your bubble, but an ally of ours is already inside, Aquino said. What? So I was right. Damn it, I hate stupid devils. I just want to stomp their stupid devil faces. Well, it doesn't matter, there are more of us than them. They won't be able to stop us. So why are you here? Is it for some sort of rescue operation? If so, you will have to go through us first, she said, 2 more people coming down from the trees. No, he is on his own, but he should be able to handle you guys just fine, Rias said with a smile. He? Only one? Ha, began laughing the male. Oh my, you devils must be stupid or something. Oh wait, you're devils, you were always stupid. Ha. I wouldn't underestimate him. He is quite a nasty fighter. You could say he's part spider, and you know how vicious they can be, Aquino said with a smile. Back in the church, Issei was crawling along the ceiling, looking for a way in. Welcome, devil pussy. I see you came. I smell it, it's you, isn't it? The one who tried to save the poor church slut? Come out wherever you are, Fried said as he began to laugh. You talk too much, Issei said, shooting out a web from the ceiling. Fried dodged. Oh, aren't we upset? If you want to save her, you have to go through me, Fried said, laughing. Issei slingshot from the roof. Gladly, Issei said, nailing Fried in the gut with both feet. Outside, Aquino was busy playing with the other fallen angels, shooting thunderbolts while using magic to block their spears. Back in the church, Issei was busy dodging bullets and slashes, unable to get an attack in. Come on, devil pussy! Fight back! Ah, Fried said, laughing maniacally. Issei shot back onto the ceiling and then shot 8 webs out. He shot 4 onto both of the doors and yanked. The doors began to creak before they were yanked from their hinges. Issei tossed them at Fried, who began to leap over the first door, then the second. Issei then shot from the roof, nailing Fried in the face, sending him into the ground. He then used his web onto Fried's foot and swung him through 10 of the church wooden couches, forcing him against the wall. However, Issei was not done. He leapt onto the wall on the other end of the church and used his web. He grabbed Fried and yanked him over to him, then punched him in the gut, sending him flying before yanking again on the web and doing a spinning hook kick in midair, sending Fried through the other 10 wooden couches. Fried was down, he was not getting up. Damn you, what are you? Fried asked from where he was. Me? I do not know what I am, but I know who I am. My name is Venomous, Issei said, walking up to Fried and forming a fist. Issei was out for blood tonight. Fried smirked. I don't think so, Fried said, pulling out a pellet and smashing it into the ground. A bright light happened, blinding Issei, who immediately shot onto the ceiling to avoid any other attack. When he could see again, Fried was gone. But his voice lingered. I will be back, devil pussy! Ha! I will not allow a devil to get the best of me. Issei sighed and shot to the ground, using his senses to see if he could sense where Asia was. He found her scent and looked around before he used his webs at random locations, attempting to open up any hidden door. After bringing down several pillars, he ripped the altar off and found the stairs. He quickly ran down and leapt onto the ceiling, the darkness hiding his form. He spotted Asia chained to a cross, Rainier and a bunch of exorcists. I saw you enter. I don't know who you are, but you are too late, Rainier said, laughing. Asia was crying. Issei, where are you? Asia said until she began to scream as a green light appeared from her. She began to scream loudly as her body grew green. After 10 seconds, she went limp. There was a green orb floating above her body, only for it to land in Rainier's hand. You bitch! Issei yelled out, leaping out of the shadows, slamming his fist into Rainier's face, sending her into the wall, forming a massive crater. Issei quickly pulled Asia out of her chains and swung her to the stairs before running her out. He swung until they were outside of the church, on a nearby bench. He laid her on the bench and knelt next to her. He put his fingers up to her neck and felt no pulse. He felt tears in his eyes, then rage, furious rage. His fists clenched up as he slingshot himself back into the church. He quickly went back into the basement where he saw Rainier pull herself out of the rubble. She was injured as something penetrated her gut. She then repaired herself, using Asia's healing power. It's wonderful, isn't it? Her sacred gear, oh, it's just so great. You bitch. I will kill you, Issei said, leaping into the air. He grabbed onto the wall and punched it twice. He then stuck his hands in and pulled out a humongous chunk of the wall. You! He threw the large piece of wall right into the exorcists, killing half of them. He then webbed up the wall and swung it around, killing the rest from the massive heavy piece of wall. Back outside, Rias shook her head. That was a big mistake. Taking her sacred gear would be killing her, and you just pissed someone off you should have never pissed off. Oh really? Why do you say that? Miltelt asked as the 3 fallen angels were sitting in a tree, within a barrier made by Rias, while lazily throwing spears at times. In the distance, a small crash was heard and a figure was flying out. What was that? Donasik asked. Rainier was launched into the air by Issei, sent through the church roof. Issei was then right above her, before he sent his fist right into her gut, sending her flying to the ground. Rainier's body shattered the barrier, and she hit the ground with a boom. She made a big crater, and she quickly repaired her broken bones. Help! This guy is a monster! Rainier cried out to her friends. What? Who? They 3 asked. A web hit Rainier's gut, and she was swung right into the tree right below the other tree. Issei appeared right against her. He swung his fist right into Rainier's face, shattering the tree, her skull, and her body flew. She went through several trees and skidded to a stop, where she weakly began to repair her face skull. Issei, however, was now right on top of her. He took off his mask and glared right at her. You! Rainier called. Yeah, it's me. I told you I would find you and I would kill you. Now die! Issei put both hands together and raised them above his head. Please spare me. I'm sorry. Go to hell, Issei said with venom. He swung both hands down and they impacted her face, splitting her head wide open, brains and blood splattering across the ground. Who the hell was that? Miltelt asked. That was the man you just pissed off. A web appeared from the darkness in the forest, and it gripped Miltelt from behind. She was yanked, and then a sickening crunch was heard, then a thump. Another web hit Calawarner, followed by a crunch and a thump. Donasik began to fly into the air and tried to escape through a portal, but his foot was caught. He was yanked back into the forest, where a crunch then a thump was heard. Rias and Aquino were already gone when Issei walked their way. He was heading back to the church for his final piece of business. He went into the church and stood in the middle, his mask off and his tears falling. He began to shoot multiple strings of web, over 30. He put them on all 4 walls and the ceiling, grabbing them all into his 2 hands. He began to roar in pain from losing Asia, and roar in anger as he pulled. The 4 walls and the roof came tumbling down. Issei shot himself through the hole in the roof, escaping the destruction. Issei landed on the church steps, before running to the bench. Sitting right there with Aquino and Rias standing by was Asia. Issei knelt right before Asia, who was sitting on the bench, looking around her surroundings. Issei was in his suit with his mask off, looking at Asia with shock and disbelief. Asia? Issei, it's you. Asia was then grabbed by Issei and pulled into a massive bear hug. You were dead. How is this possible? Issei questioned her. Calm down, Issei. I was the one who revived her, Rias said. Issei stood up. How, why, what? Rias smiled. Will you be willing to listen to me now and believe me? Issei nodded. I realize that there are things in this world I do not understand. I do not even know who I am. Come with me, I want to get away from this place, Rias said. Issei and Asia followed Rias and Aquino, heading back to the school. They then entered the old schoolhouse, heading to a room that had the letters ORC on it. Issei entered and noticed Issei came in with his black suit on, blood on him. He had some blood on his cheeks, but most of it was on his chest. Geez, what happened to you? It's like you went through a slaughterhouse, Kiba said with a small smile. Something like that, Issei said with a smile before walking over to the window. Issei, all that blood, what did you do? Asia asked. Issei sighed and turned around. Do you remember what happened to you? Yes, Lady Rainier killed me. Why? I killed her and everyone that was there, Asia. Seeing you die, I snapped, and I slaughtered them all. Oh, I see, Asia said, quieting down. Issei, Rias called. What is it? You are a devil. We here are all devils. Rias began, now talking about everything, filling in everything that Sukun needed to know in order to understand. She talked for about 20 minutes while Issei listened quietly. So you saved Asia by using something called an evil piece, and she is made into one of your devil servants? Yes. Will she be happy? Will you keep her happy? Issei asked. Of course. I will do what I can to make sure she is happy, like I do for every one of my servants. I love all of my servants. That's good, Issei said with a smile, now looking out the window again. So you attempted to kill me that night because I was a stray devil, and stray devils are usually a threat to your town? That's right. Most people would be angry with you, you know. I do. How do you feel? I forgive you because you saved Asia and you told me you would treat her nicely. That is reason enough for me to forgive you for attempting to kill me. Issei, are we still friends? Of course, why wouldn't we be, Asia? Well, 'cause I belong to her, and you don't. I don't know. I thought maybe you wouldn't want to be near me. Issei smiled. Of course I would. I went through all that trouble to save you, and then we went on all that fun together that day. Of course I am your friend, Issei said with a smile. Oh, I am really happy then, Asia said with a blush. Rias? What is it? I thank you. I thank you for saving Asia. I am really grateful. Her power would be useful, so I thought, why not? I don't make a habit of just saving anyone. I understand. I do understand not everyone can be saved, Issei said with a sigh. So what will you do? I do not know. I suppose I am still lost. I have no idea what my purpose is anymore. If I go anywhere I will be hunted down, and eventually I may meet someone who has more power or skill than me and I will be killed, Issei said with a bitter smile. So I want to ask something of you. What is it? Can I be one of your servants? I want to be with Asia, and I would be closer if I served you. Rias smiled. Yes, I think that would be a good idea. Your power would serve me well. I thank you, Issei said, bowing his head. He was no longer crying. He was really happy because Asia was back. Rias walked over and pulled out some pawn pieces. She then looked at him and thought, but she entered all 8 pieces into his body, in which his body accepted. He began to shake and shudder, but he finally stopped. There, Rias said. You are officially one of my adorable devil servants. Issei bowed his head again. Thank you. I will not let you down. I know you won't. I trust you. Can I go home now? I really need to sleep and wash my suit, and I am kind of hungry. Of course. Have a good night, Rias said with a smile. Issei hugged Asia once, then left, heading home. It was the next day, a Thursday afternoon. Issei did not go to school that day, as he stayed in bed and slept off the exhaustion he had, plus he had to think about his new position in life, and he also wondered if he was able to be happy. He did not like the idea of serving someone, as it just sounds like a dull life, but he then thought about how nice everyone was. They all treated him nicely and never got rude. Sure, they tried to kill him, but he wasn't angry about that anymore. He accepted the fact he was a devil now. He just wanted to be happy. He knew everyone was nice, so there was that. Then there was the fact everyone was really good looking. That really fired up his madness. The school was nice, but maybe he could leave if he was unhappy. Probably not, as he would be astray again, but Rias did say she likes to keep everyone happy, and they all seemed happy with their lives, so maybe he could be too. Issei left the house and began to walk to the old club room, when he felt a tingly sensation. His spider sense went off, detecting danger. He quietly entered the ORC club room, his really quiet feet not making any sound. He slipped in and relaxed against the bookshelf. There was a man in here, a man who had blonde hair and a bad boy look. He wore a red suit which the top 3 buttons were undone, letting people look at his defined chest. He was sitting next to Rias, rubbing her thigh and playing with her hair, while she looked like she hated it. Issei raised a brow at this, curious. That's enough, Riser. Let it go, I have no intention of ever marrying you, Rias said, getting up and walking a bit away. Come now, Rias. I believe your family's situation is still too serious that you cannot afford to be so selfish. I will not bring my family name to ruin. I have no desire to deny you your right to our name. However, let me be clear. My husband will be my choice. Remember that it is crucial that devils are to remain pure-blooded. Your brother and father decided this with the future of devils in mind. My father and my brother made this decision because they are in too great of a rush. For the last time, Riser, I will not marry you. Riser got up and grabbed her chin. For the last time, Rias, I bear the reputation of the House of Phi-. Riser was interrupted as a web was on his mouth, not allowing him to speak. Everyone jumped at the sudden attack on Riser. Riser growled and attempting to pull the webbing off, but it wouldn't come off. He then ignited the hand and pulled it off. Okay, who dares attack me, Riser? Someone who is annoyed with your constant chattering. I have a headache, Issei said, rubbing his head as if he had an ice cream headache. He didn't have a headache, he was just a funny guy. Rias, who is this? This is my new servant that I obtained last night. Issei Hyoudou. Tell your servant, he dash. Riser was interrupted again with another web, this time stronger. I thought I said to keep the chattering down from you? Why does no one ever listen to me? Issei said with a yawn. Riser pulled her and her with his fiery hand, trying to pull the webbing off. Issei, what are you doing? Rias asked him. Are you saying you want to marry him? I am trying to do what anyone should do and save you from him. If you do not want to marry him and you are being forced to, you say no, and that should be the end of it. So I am going to do you a favor and save you from it. Riser pulled off the webbing finally and roared in fury. Do you know who you are dealing with, you impudent shit? Issei walked forward, standing in front of the other servants. Shakespeare in the clubhouse? Everyone looked at him incredulously. Does mother knoweth you weareth her tablecloth? Issei said, mocking Riser. Rias's peerage just sighed and shook their head at his bad joke. You little bastard, Riser said, forming an enormous fireball. Issei got onto all fours, ready to attack. That's enough, said a figure coming out of a white magic circle. Issei looked at her, and she looked back for a moment, but then looked forward again. I come here with orders from my master. If communication should break down, I have been given a last resort. Yes, of course he did, Rias said. If Rias continued to push her personal preferences above her family's, she is to settle this via a rating game. Issei stood up now. What is a rating game? Will it allow me to kick the poorly dressed man's ass? Riser growled at Issei. Issei, Rias warned him. You need to stop. I will stop when he is done trying to rape you, okay? Issei said. Rape is bad, okay? So, what is your name, girl in the maid outfit? Well, it doesn't matter. Do we need to settle this via a rating game? Or can I just settle this one-on-one with this guy? Or is a rating game one-on-one? I just became a servant / figured out I was a devil a day ago. Riser looked at Rias. Why is your servant still talking? Do you not have a lead dash? Riser was interrupted with a web across his mouth. The only one who needs a lid is you. You talk way too much, Issei said, glaring at Riser. The maid outfit lady smiled. It is up to Riser, but a one-on-one will be acceptable with my master. Rias will have to select either herself or one of her servants to fight with Riser. It is up to Rias as well. Riser finally pulled the webbing off. I am fine with either one, either way though, I am going to kick your dash. Another web. Rias looked at Riser then Issei. She walked over to Issei and looked at him. Issei Riser here is a phoenix, the immortal bird. Okay? I can just wail on him until he gives up. If you wish, I will fight him one-on-one, or we can do this a rating game way. Either way, I am going to kick his ass for you. Consider this a gift, for what you did for me. Ria sighed. I will accept either one. So, Riser, would you like to fight Issei here one-on-one? Riser pulled off the webbing. Yes. I will kick high dash. Another web. It's settled then. Let us fight in 30 minutes, please. I want to wear something special, Issei said with a smile. The girl nodded and left. Riser yanked his webbing off. You will die, Hyoudou. Accidents happen, Riser said, threatening him. As Riser was leaving, Issei shot one last web, hitting his mouth, shutting Riser up. With the clubhouse now just with Rias and her peerage, Rias sighed. Issei. You do understand what you forced, right? Issei rubbed the back of his head. I get the consequences, Rias. If I lose, you will have to marry him, but what else did you expect to happen? You were going to marry him if I didn't step in, right? At least now, you have a chance to keep your virginity and give it to someone you care for. A girl should not have to be raped, just for her family. Issei. Do not worry about it, okay? I will not allow you to marry some douchebag like him. If you want to marry someone you like, then I am all for it, but I saw the way you looked at him. You were disgusted by him. I will not allow that to happen. I have the power of the spider. I will use it for the good of my friends. No one will harm my friends if that is okay to think of you guys as my friends, of course. Of course it is. Issei, please win for me for us, Ria said with a smile. Issei just grinned. I think it's time someone puts the fear of the spider into him. It was 30 minutes later. Issei was being transported now by Rias's magic circle. He had his suit on with his mask, all washed and cleaned. It also smelt like lemons. Issei was transported to a location that was built like some ruins. It had a ceiling, so that was a good sign. Issei smirked under his mask and he stood on one end and Riser stood on the other. Who is this? It's Issei, Bird Boy. I just wanted to wear something special, for this occasion. I suppose it is to look good for your funeral, Riser said with a grin. A woman appeared on the screen. She had blonde hair and had drill-like hair. You messed with the wrong family, Hyoudou, said the girl. You are messing with the immortal birds. You shall see firsthand what we phoenixes are made of. Oh, I know the answer to that question, Issei said, jumping up and down. Dark meat, right? I do love me some juicy dark meat. Why, you little Riser started. He was interrupted by a web on his face. Kenneth, nobody asked you a goddamn thing. Riser roared and then the bell rung. With that, the fight began. Riser tore off the webbing. All right. Time for you to die, boy. You can die in front of your master, Riser said, flying at Issei with fire wings. Issei began to swing through the air, flying right at Riser. Head on, boy. You have a death wish. When they were about to collide, Issei swung his body up and over Riser, dodging him. Issei then attached a web to Riser's back, then to the ceiling. The web snapped, yanking Riser back, putting immense force on his spine. There was a small crack. Issei was on the ground now, looking up at him. How's it hanging? Issei said, making another joke. Riser roared and engulfed his body in flames, coming at Issei by flying back then straight at him. Issei stood there, looking at him. Issei waited and waited, but then it happened. Issei moved his body slightly to the side, watching Riser go right past him, right into the wall. Too slow. Issei laughed. You think you are funny, you little shit? I will kill you. Me funny? No, you flatter me. Nothing is funnier than your face. You could be a professional comedian. Riser roared in fury, throwing fireball after fireball at Issei. Issei just ducked or moved to the side, dodging the fireballs. However, the last fireball went for his feet. Issei shot into the air and hung on the ceiling. Issei then grabbed some rubble from baying Riser and swung it around, hitting Riser in the head, sending him to the ground. Holy shit! Did anyone else hear that echo? Issei said, laughing. Riser flew right at Issei, attempting to hit him with his full fire bird form. Issei just did a flip over him. Alley-oop. Riser landed on the ground as Issei hung upside down on the ceiling. Why don't you come down here and fight me like a man? How about you come up here and fight like a spider? Riser growled and began to throw fireball after fireball before charging at Issei with his fire form. Issei dropped to the ground and Riser changed direction. Issei made a giant web right in front of him, watching as Riser slammed right into it. Oh my, this looks like a sticky situation, Issei said, laughing. Riser finally burned through the thin webbing, going to tackle Issei. Issei, however, slid under his legs and shot webs at his legs, tripping him. Walk much? Issei laughed as Riser got more and more angry. He was furious. Dude, I haven't seen you this angry since the Colonel tried to use his secret recipe on you, Issei said. With this, Riser's right eye began to twitch. Oh my, is that face because you are trying to think to make up a comeback? Dude, here is some good advice. Stop thinking, Issei said. I will teach you to stop mocking me. You will feel the power of the phoenix firsthand, Riser said, his flame body getting bigger and bigger. Oh God, I feel the power of the phoenix. Dude, after you swallow, please get a breath mint. Riser flew at Issei, the fire overwhelmingly hot. Issei leapt right over Riser's flame, barely dodging the massive amount of fire. Issei then watched Riser turned and charged again. Issei had enough time and formed a massive web with much more thickness. Riser ran right into the web and he was halted as the fire kept licking at the webs. What is this stuff made out of? How is it able to stand up to the heat of my fire? Performance issues. You know, 1 out of 5 men have this problem. You should see your doctor, Issei said. Issei then quickly shot more webbing out, strengthening the giant spider web, making it even thicker. Issei then swung to the other side of the room before laying down. Riser just kept struggling, attempting to tear and burn the webbing. In a separate viewing room, the maid girl and then a man with long red hair were sitting and watching. Do you know this boy? The man asked. No. I believe it is Riasa's newest servant, the girl responded. Interesting. This boy is strong. I can see it. He is kind of funny, I think. He is using psychological warfare against Riser. His body may be immortal, but his mind and heart are not, but yes, he is funny. He is smart, but what he is doing is a dangerous game for him. Back in the game, Riser was still struggling in the webs, 5 minutes later. However, the webs were almost finished, but Riser's flames were getting weaker. Riser finally broke free, but he was panting. Damn you! You should not be getting in my way. This is important to the devil world. Issei shot some webbing into his face. Seriously, you talk too much. Here, let me make this easy for you, okay? Issei said. He placed a hand over his eyes and turned around. Come on. I will give you 1 free shot. Riser flew right at Issei with his full fire form, no longer engulfed in the massive flames of before. Issei then did a back flip right over Riser, dodging him. Riser hit the wall with a crash. Seriously? 1 free shot and you still fail? Geez dude, your equipment sure is failing today, isn't it? Issei said. Riser groaned and got out of the pile of rubber, but what shocked him was when he got up, a wall was falling on him. Issei pulled down the section of wall with his webs, forcing it to crash on Riser. It took a while, but Riser finally got up from the rubble. It was then Issei swung in and began to wrap Riser in a cocoon of webs, using his speed to quickly wrap Riser up. Riser soon found himself out of his daze and engulfed in the sticky threads of Issei. He also found that he couldn't move. Issei had completely immobilized him. Riser was wrapped up and there were strands on his body, connected to different parts of the battlefield, forcing him to stay still. It looks like this situation is all webbed up, Issei said. Get it? Webbed up? Sounds like wrapped up. Damn it! What is this shit? Riser yelled out as he began to engulf his body in flames, attempting to break free. Issei went to the rubble wall and pulled out a much longer piece of the rubble before wrapping it in his webs. Issei Hyoudou has 2 strikes. All bases are full if he makes this. He goes for the trophy, Issei said in his best announcer voice for baseball. Issei then swung the rubble right into Riser as Riser escaped from the web, hitting him square in the head, sending Riser flying. 4. Issei yelled out, putting his hand above his head as if watching the shot. And the crowd goes wild. Issei yells out, doing the audience cheer voice. What is this? Issei Hyoudou has won the world championship. The Gremmeries win. He did in his announcer voice. Riser smashed into the ceiling, then the nearby wall, before hitting the ground. Issei then quickly brought down the wall on top of Riser, forcing him down once more. Riser slowly got up from the rubble, his legs shaking. Stop this! You should stay out of the affairs of your betters. This engagement is important for the future of all devils, Riser said. Issei shot his web out, grabbed Riser by the chest, then punched him in the face. I do not care. You will not rape my friend. You will not harm my friend. You will not touch my friend. Riser hit another wall, in which Issei brought it down on him. Issei waited until Riser got out of the rubble, albeit very slowly. Issei was quick on his feet, running to Riser, about to deliver a devastating punch to his face. However, the blonde-haired girl came out from earlier appeared in front of him. Stop it! You beat him. Don't hurt him, the girl said. Issei stopped right in front of her. If I were you, I would step aside, little girl. Unless you want to be next, Issei said, his fist prepped to punch a gut. The girl blushed and gasped, her heart beating faster. This fight is over, said a male voice. The ground beneath Issei collapsed and Issei began to fall. Riser was taken away by his sister. Hey! Hey! Where is the parachute? This isn't funny, Issei said, falling straight down towards the ground. Oh wait, Issei said, aiming his hands down. He shot down his webbing, forming a giant spider web onto the ground way below. However, Kaneko flew up and caught him. Hey, since when can devils fly? Issei asked. I would have loved to know that for that fight, you know, Issei said. Kaneko threw him down to the ground. Hey! That's not funny! Neither are you, Kaneko said, though she had a small grin on her face. Oh! That's hurtful, Issei said as he fell. Rias flew up and grabbed him, holding him up. Issei, thank you so much. I promise you, didn't I? Issei said with a smile. He kept his mask on though. So is it off? Did I save you? Yes, you did, thank you so much. It was nothing. It was fun actually, Issei said with a laugh. Rias and Issei landed with the rest of her peerage, before transporting home. Issei stayed in her arms throughout the ride. When they arrived at the clubhouse, Issei was already fast asleep. He was snoring very softly, but he was snoring. Rias laid Issei on the couch. He is all tuckered out, Rias said. He did have a fight with Riser. I think if anyone could beat Riser, they would be tuckered out too, Akino said. He was amazing, Akino said. Yes, he was. I could have done without the constant jokes though, Kaneko said with a small grin. Oh, he was funny though. Also, did you see the guy's face? Kiba said. With that, they all left to go home, laughing. It was the morning when Issei woke up. The birds were chirping, the ducks were quacking, and the cows were aiming. It was another beautiful day, and the sun was shining right down at Issei, his mask giving him most of the protection from the sun, but it was warm. It warmed Issei with its solar rays. Issei sat up, scratched his butt, then got up from the couch, stretching and popping his bones. He took off his mask and ran his hand through his hair, sighing. His tummy rumbled loudly, telling Issei that it was hungry and needed sustenance. Issei headed out of the ORC clubhouse, now heading towards home. He was leaping using the houses or running on the telephone wires, making sure he was kept out of view. He had his mask on again, just in case, but he had to make sure. He entered his home and quickly undressed, as he wore nothing under the suit, then tossed his suit into the washing machine, starting it up. He headed up the stairs to his room, and entered, looking at Satan just chilling under the large log. Issei smiled and placed an adult, Japanese accenter, which is a bird that lives in Japan and Russia, in a cage into the tank of Satan. He then quickly unhooked the cage to the bird and closed the tank, letting the bird out. The bird flew around for a while before landing near the entrance to the log, and just like lightning, Satan struck. The bird was pinned down beneath Satan's superior strength and the massive fangs. Sorry for not feeding you for a couple days, Satan. I know you like to be fed a lot. Such a big boy, Issei said with a smile. He then left the room and went to take a shower. 15 minutes and a few moans later, Issei finished his shower and went back to his bedroom. He put on a change of clothes, wearing a t-shirt that had a Goliath bird-eating spider with the words, "Harry Scary and Makes You Scream Bloody Mary." He also wore some simple red shorts, as the summer was getting closer and closer. He then left after putting on his socks and shoes, wanting to walk around the town for a while. It was a Friday, but Issei was skipping school again. Issei made sure to do the homework, of course, and he would make up for the tests, but he always got a 100%. The only problem was P. but he could easily pass with a 95 during the major testings. Issei was just walking around the major district of the town where all the shopping was mainly done, and where most of the restaurants were. "Issei, is that you?" a female voice said. Issei stopped and turned, looking at two females who wore robes of white, looking like something from church. One had chestnut hair and twin ponytails on the sides of her head. The other had blue hair with slight green in the middle. Issei's spider sense began to wig out, the danger present from the two swords and the rosaries on their neck. Issei began to walk forward towards them. His body was not large at all, but he was complete muscle. He had extreme strength. He stood right in front of them. "Perhaps it is, perhaps it isn't," Issei said with a grin. "Are you or aren't you?" the girl with the chestnut hair said, getting slightly impatient. "I don't know. Am I Irina?" The girl with chestnut hair stammered a bit, not sure how to respond. It was then Issei picked her up and hugged her. "It's great to see you, Irina." Irina groaned a bit and patted his head. "Yes, it's great to see you too, Issei," Irina struggled to say. Issei let her down, and he gave her a big smile. "So, what are you doing back in town?" "I have some business with my church here." "What are you doing?" Skipping school and wandering around town," Issei said, rubbing the back of his head. "Irina, do you really need to associate yourself with his kind?" the other girl said. Issei immediately looked at the other girl and glared, already telling that they knew what he was now. "Zenobia. He is my childhood friend. Not all devils are bad people," Irina said. Issei was still glaring, narrowing his eyes. "Humph. We didn't come here to socialize. We have time. Calm down." "Humph." Issei ran his hand through his hair. "So, it seems you guys knew, huh?" "Of course. We are high-end exorcists, you know." "Are you?" What did you mean by that?" Zenobia asked with a glare. Issei grinned at her. "You can take it what you like. I think I'll keep my meaning a secret." Zenobia growled and began to unwrap what she was carrying on her back. "Zenobia! Stop it! Not here!" "Why not?" "Just because he is your childhood friend, doesn't mean he should be spared. He is a devil and we are part of the church. Is it not our duty to cleanse the wicked?" "The wicked? Really now?" Issei said with amusement in his voice. "Zenobia! Stop trying to pick fights. He is a devil, Irina." "She is right, Irina. I am a devil, it is her duty to slay me," Issei said, going right up to Zenobia and standing right up against her. "Shall we begin, or are you going to grow up?" "Issei! Stop encouraging her. She could easily kill you now." "I don't like her attitude. She is way too itchy for a fight and to slay devils. She reminds me of the Fried prick." "Fried? Fried Selzen?" Irina asked. Zenobia backed down, hearing the name. "Yeah. I fought him a while back. Before I could kill him, he ran." "Why? Can we talk in private? Please?" Irina asked. Sure," Issei said, walking back to his home, with Irina and Zenobia in tow. When he got up to the house, Rias and her peerage were waiting at the entrance to his house. "Issei, why weren't you in school?" Rias demanded. She was looking a bit angry. "I skipped," Issei said nonchalantly. "You need to stop that and go to school." "Is that so, Rias? Tell me, what are your grades?" Issei asked. Rias began to stammer. It doesn't matter what my grades are. They are certainly better than yours. I would like you to beat my 100% in all my classes except P. Even in that one, I have a 95%. Rias puffed out her cheeks in annoyance. "Yes, well, you are my servant. My servants go to school. My servants will not be seen as delinquents. And you care about what other people see your friends as? Who cares what other people think of you or another? If they think badly of you and don't like you for it, they weren't worth it in the first place. Rias put her finger in his face and opened her mouth, but no argument could be made. She then looked behind Issei. Issei, who are those people? You do know they are churchgoers, yes? Ah, where are my manners? This here is my friend Irina. She used to be my childhood friend many years ago before she moved. The other one is Irina's friend, I guess, Zenobia. They wanted to speak with me in private. Irina smiled. Yes, but we also wanted to speak with the person in charge of the territory, Rias Gremery. Rias narrowed her eyes in suspicion. Issei, can we use your house, please? Sure. I will go play with Satan for a while and let you guys talk. Follow me, Issei said, unlocking his house and allowing everyone to enter. Irina and Zenobia looked at each other with a raised eyebrow. Issei showed everyone the stairs and then his room, allowing them to enter behind him. He quickly went over to the tank and noticed that the bird was completely just skin and bones. Nothing was left of the organs or whatever. It was all mush. Is that a Goliath bird-eater? Irina said out loud. She rushed over to the tank. Ah, yes. This here is Satan. I just fed him a small bird, Issei said, placing both hands side by side into the tank, allowing Satan to walk on them. Issei then quickly moved and placed him on the bed. The bed was bare because Issei was also washing his sheets and stuff. You can allow him to walk on your hands if you want. I need to hurry and change out my laundry, Issei said, leaving. He quickly ran down the stairs and put his suit and mask, his sheets and pillowcases and his blanket into the dryer, and then went back upstairs. When he arrived, Zenobia was sitting on a couch, while Irina was busy playing with Satan. Rias spoke up now. What is you wanted to speak to us about? With that, Irina pulled away, allowing Satan to go wherever, and went to Zenobia before sitting down next to her. Ah yes, recently and with that, Irina and Zenobia began to talk with Rias about the Excaliburs, the thieves and the fallen angel who was starting trouble. Kiba was pretty ticked off, which Issei noticed, but Issei was now reading a book. He had no interest in this. The talk ended about 30 minutes later. Rias was asked not to intervene, which she said she wouldn't, but Kiba was also pretty ticked off. The two of them got up and went for door, but stopped as they spotted someone. Asia. Are you the witch, Asia Argento? Zenobia asked out of the blue. With this, Issei put down his book, not liking the fact she called Asia a witch. Are you the rumored witch? The former holy maiden? Don't you have the power that can heal devils and fallen angels as well as others? I heard you were sent somewhere after getting exiled, but I never thought you would become a devil. Asia was at a loss for words, not sure how to respond. It's okay. I won't tell the higher-ups that we saw you, so rest assured. Asia was still at a loss for words. But to become a devil, the one who is called a holy maiden, you fell to the lowest place you could possibly go. Do you even still believe in God? Zenobia, there is no way that she could believe in God after becoming a devil. No, I can sense it, I can smell the belief. Zenobia said it with a sharp gaze. Irina was now looking at Asia with interested eyes. Is it true? Asia, do you still believe in God after you have turned into a devil? I just can't put it aside, I believed in it my whole life, Asia said sadly. Zenobia took her sword out and pointed it at Asia. Is that so? Then I shall cut you down this instant, in the name of God. Even if you have sinned, God shall forgive you. Issei glared and walked over, standing in between Asia and Zenobia. Touch Asia again, I dare you, Issei said, threatening her. If you come close to Asia, I will not forgive you. You called Asia a witch, did you not? Yes, I did. She is a being fit to be called a witch. Really now, cause the only witch I see is you, Issei spat out. Zenobia glared and gripped her sword. Not a single person helped her when she needed help. None of you did a thing. None of your followers did a thing. None of you cared how kind she was. All you cared about was her power. You never actually cared for Asia. None of you tried to become her friend. She didn't need friends. What's important is the charity to others. The holy maidens are done when they seek friendship and love from others. She could have continued to live with the love from God. Asia Argento did not have the right to be a holy maiden from the beginning, Zenobia said with ease. This pissed Issei off. So you guys selfishly made her into a holy maiden and abandoned her because she was different from those who seek her? You, your god who did nothing, and most importantly you, Issei said, seething. None of you knew what she went through. Asia was killed because of her power and none of you, nor your god, did a thing. You know who did. Rias did. A devil. A devil has more compassion than your goddamn god ever did. God loved her. If nothing happened, then it means she didn't believe in him enough, or her belief is fake. Issei decked her. His fist flew right into her face, hitting her square in the jaw and sending her flying out the room and into the wall nearby. You can die, Issei said, pushing Asia to Rias. Issei, stop, Irina said. Issei pushed her away. No, Irina. She has this coming. Zenobia stood up and growled, holding on to her sword. Who do you think you are? Is that a declaration to all of those in the church? Big words coming out of a single devil. Gremory, I can see you didn't teach him enough. Issei Rias began, but Kiba stood in front of Issei. That is good timing. I will be your opponent as well, Kiba said. His eyes were filled with hate, and he had a huge intent to kill coming out of his body. Who do you think you are? Zenobia asked. I am your senior, though it seems I failed, Kiba said. He then summoned many demonic swords from the ground. Rias sighed, unsure how to handle this situation. Zenobia, though, had an idea. I would like to test out the strength of your servants, Gremory. Plus, it would be nice to see the strength of my so-called senior, Zenobia said. With that, Rias transported everyone outside Issei's house, into the backyard. Rias, Akino, Kaneko and Asia were standing on the sidelines while Issei and Kiba were waiting. Zenobia and Irina came out of the house, no longer in the white robes. They were in black battle costumes which looked like leather,